first series actually that I was hired to do was a series called Wizards and Warriors. I had a reoccurring role on that. That was a show a little bit ahead of its time, but it was set in a medieval, and it was a comedy with Jeff Conway, Walter Olkowitz, Julia Duffy. Very good writing, very funny. That was my first series, and while I was filming that, I got hired to be on the A-Team, to be a regular on the pilot of the A-Team. So I was filming both of those at the same time, and then after we got done doing the pilot, they decided that I was too tall and too young looking to play a Vietnam veteran and all that kind of stuff. So that's when Dirk Benedict came in and took the series. And then after that, I went on to Mr. Smith, which was a really wonderful show, actually written by Ed Weinberger and Stan Daniels, the guys who wrote Mary Tyler Moore and Phyllis and all these great comedies. And David Lloyd was our head writer, one of the great comedy TV writers of all time. I was very lucky to work with them. It was an interesting shoot because we worked with live orangutans, 2 of them. And I had actually, even before the series started filming, I had to go over to Paramount Studios about 2 weeks ahead of time every day to get familiar with the apes and to work with them and let them know me and, get them familiar because, they're very wonderful, interesting, intelligent creatures. And it was a great experience for a young actor. I learned a lot. And it was a lot of fun. I had a great time shooting that series, and I think it was really underrated. We were picked to be one of the comedy hits of that year, but it just didn't work out. That's how TV goes sometimes. But I got to work with Leonard Fry, who was just a wonderful guy, and I learned a lot from him. So I enjoyed it very, very much.
Regarding the beginning of your work as an actor, how did you actually begin? Were you a child actor?
No, I had no at all until high school here in America, the grades 9 through 12. When I went to high school, I went to a Catholic all-boys high school called St. John Vianney in St. Louis, actually in Kirkwood, Missouri. And they had a theater, they hadn't done a play at the high school. So I got involved, and actually I got involved at first on the technical side. I did the lighting. I found that, and I still to this day love any kind of theatrical lighting. I did that, and then that show was a successful show in the town there, and we toured it a little to different schools. And then one day, one of the actors was sick. So I knew all the lines. They said, you have to go on and play the part. And I did. And I was very scared, but I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed doing it. So that led me to doing, I started auditioning for, there was a big amusement park there that did big shows. You could get hired. I think we made, $2 an hour. We would do 7 or 8 shows a day. But I got hired in the summers performing there. And then from there, I actually toured with a band for a while across the country when I was 20. And then I came back to school. I went to Webster, and that's where I really got serious. I went to, at that time, it was called Webster College, and now it's called Webster University. They have campuses all over the world, actually. But then it was a very small fine arts school that worked hand in hand with a repertory company, a theater company, a professional, and we got to work right with them. And that's where I really got my training for the stage, which is, really all I wanted to do. I was very lucky while I was in school. I got to work in a lot of the professional shows, really started learning, felt really more confident. And then when I graduated, I went to New York, and that's where you go when you're an actor and you want to be on stage. And, I did like everybody else, I was a waiter and all that kind of stuff while I was trying to get a break. And I finally did. I got a break doing a play up in Connecticut that I would take a train back and forth from on the weekends. While doing that play, an agent saw me and they signed me. And then I auditioned. And about 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to California to do a TV show.
In 1986, you participated on Cheers, one of the most iconic series of the decade.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about it?
Sure. I was ecstatic because I loved that show. And, it's one of those shows, Jose, that if they probably asked me to do it for free, I would have. I just loved it. It was, at that time, Cheers was the premier comedy show. So I was very lucky. I got a great little part that I set up one big joke with Diane and Sam, and I enjoyed working on that show immensely. That was a lot of fun. It's one of my fondest memories to have been on that show because it was such an iconic. I'm glad I got on an episode of it. Yeah, I was very pleased.
Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future premiered in 1987 and took the airwaves completely by surprise with this mixture of live action with CGI. How do you remember the experience?
Oh, I remember it with great joy and exhaustion. It was, I was very excited about it. It was, in 1987, computer animation was, there was nothing. There was nothing, none of that was happening. There was all, you did a stunt, There was no CGI. So we broke all kinds of ground and in that show on many levels. It was the first interactive television show. It was the first show that had CGI characters. And at the time, and of course the toys were the big thing. Mattel came out with the whole toy line, which ended up actually ruining the series because if you watch the series or the fans of the series now, which there are, I'm always amazed how many fans of the show are around the world. It was a wonderful script, great writing. The exciting part was it was filmed in Toronto. I'd never been there, so it was fun to go there, but we filmed everything under one roof. All the miniatures, all the CG, everything was under. They got it was a bus parking garage, I think is what it used to. It was huge. And the dressing rooms were there and the sets were there and the carpentry, everything they built was built there. All the miniatures of the cities and everything that they would do the camera flybys, the CGI, that was all there. We all watched it. So it was an exciting time because everything was together so you could see the whole process. For us, it was just about doing parts and doing characters and just like any other show. It was like, about the script and about the story. But then, all of a sudden we got attacked about the toys because they were, the kids would shoot at the robots. It was tough. It was a tough shoot, but it's something I'm very proud of. And, there's been a lot of talk about a remake, and I think it's be a great show. I hope they do remake it. I think it's a wonderful story, and with today's technology, I think it could really be something special.
There was some criticism surrounding the dark approach in the program that was mainly developed for children. The storyline was not exactly a storyline exclusively for children. So, what are your thoughts about this? This criticism, does it make any sense at all?
Yeah, I mean, it was a different time, Jose. 1987, that's a long time ago. And things have changed drastically in the world. And at that time, there had never been a show like that. And the show wasn't written for children. It was just because what happened was, I think Mattel at that time was developing this interactive technology, and then they saw the show and they thought that was a good way to use the technology. But the show was never intended to be for little kids or anything like that. It was a science fiction series about about the destruction of the world and about the human life and how that, the whole point of Captain Power, his entire being was about how valuable human life was. That was the theme, and that was in every episode, that was in every line of how valuable, and that was the point of the show. Now, when you tie the toys into it, well, I personally never thought it was that destructive. As I grew up as a kid, playing with cowboys and Indians and with army guns, and as kids, that's just a normal part of life here. But at that time, there was a lot of protests that we were taking advantage of children and teaching children destruction and death. And I disagreed with it, but again, I had nothing to do with it. I never even heard about it until I read the paper. I had to beg Mattel to just give me one so I could give it to my nephew. I mean, it wasn't this big thing. And then, all of a sudden all the criticism came down, and that was really when Mattel pulled the money because they didn't feel the toys were selling as, like they should. But if you look back at the numbers on the toys that sold, they sold quite a lot. But that's just the way it went. I'm still, as far as I'm concerned, that's a whole other area of that I had nothing to do with. The show I'm very proud of. I thought it was a great show. It was done well. It was written, just tremendous writing. And I enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm real proud that I was involved with it.
There was also a video game, I believe.
Is there?
Yes.
I don't know. I have no idea.
MS-DOS still.
Is that right?
The Captain Power game. I believe so.
Because as I understand it, I don't think the toys work with today's TVs. I think you have to have an old TV for it still to work. I'm not even sure.
I think so. Unfortunately, here in Portugal, the show was a big hit, a big success.
Yeah, that's nice to know. I never knew.
The toys were never commercialized in Portugal.
Yeah, I think that was mainly a United States thing. The toys in Canada, U.S. and Canada. But from the letters and emails that I got and I still get today, it seems that in Europe and Asia, that the show itself was very well liked, and it was a syndicated show, meaning it wasn't on a set time. So like in Los Angeles, I think we were on at 5 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning. It just didn't make sense. They put it on Saturday mornings. That worked well, but it should have been a nighttime or an evening show because that was the themes of the show. But again, you put the toys on top of that, and that's what happened. I think if we never would have had the toys involved, that show would have probably run for a few years. It was a good show, great actors, good writing, great sound, great camera, great crews. It was a pleasure. I mean, it was hard. It was tough. At the end of the day, I never had problems sleeping. It was a tough show, but I really, really enjoyed it. I loved doing it.
Many of the themes and motifs of the series seem to anticipate, in a way, many of the sci-fi that would flourish in the decades to come. What are your thoughts regarding this anticipation of some of the themes that are in Captain Power that were explored later by contemporary sci-fi?
Yeah, it seems that as an actor, you just attack the role. You get into the script. Like I said, I was trained as a classic theater actor, so I have routines. Breaking down a character. I have a way, a process of finding the character, and that's pretty much all I concentrated on. Who was this man? Why does he do what he does? And what is he trying to achieve? You try to do things like that, and as an actor, you find ways. You go through all your schooling and you learn from other actors that you work with, how they do the process, and you kind of find your own way. But the key is also to have, you remember, you're not out there alone. It's with somebody. So you have to connect with that other actor. And as long as you're all on the same page, it works. If you're all trying to achieve the same thing. The themes of Captain Power were, as I said, life is invaluable. Human life is the most valuable thing there is. And I think every episode tried to tell that about the human spirit. And yes, those there, I see those going on into other sci-fi. I think people grasp that it kind of started a genre of shows. And I mean, even a show like Babylon 5. Babylon 5 was in Captain Power. I mean, those are, it was kind of taken from Captain Power. So again, you can watch the Star Treks, you can watch it, but all of those themes that we were doing are all passed into those shows. And I think it did, it always amazes me, Jose, that, it was a little show to me. It was just this little show we did one season of. I loved it. But I had no idea the impact that the show made, especially in the sci-fi world. Over the years, talking to fans, talking to people who grew up watching the show, I learned from them about what that show was about, and hear their stories of watching it and what it meant to them and how it structured their thoughts and moved them forward in their own lives. You never, you think as an actor, well, how am I going to get through this scene and blah, blah, blah. But you're touching lives in a lot of different ways. And as when I was younger, I don't think I understood that as much, but as I've gotten older, it's very powerful media, and you have to be sure that you're getting what's the writer trying to tell? What's the story the writer's trying to tell, and tell that story the best way you can. That's it. We're storytellers. We just do it with acting and pretend, but we want it to be real. And when you're doing it, to yourself, it is real. It becomes real. And the episode where Pilot dies, I mean, it's not that hard. I was losing my friend Jessica. Jessica was, if we came back, she wasn't going to be there. That was a horrible. I didn't want to do that. But she was great in that part. So you try to understand, first of all, what's the book? What's the foundation of this story? What is it, the point we're trying to get across? What is the writer trying to say? And then we were lucky too, because we got to sit with Michael and some Larry Ditello and those guys and talk a little bit about what their vision was. And that it was a truly unique experience. On a lot of shows, you do not have that experience. You come in, you get your script, let's go, let's shoot it. That's it. But on that show, we sat with writers and we sat with the production.
J. Michael Straczynski had already been involved in some of the most important animation shows of the decade, and is now a true legend of sci-fi television. I want to ask you if you had any close contact with him. You already told me that you talked about the stories, and if you have any particular story surrounding the development of the series that you can share with us.
The series was Michael was I did first. I will say no, not as much as I wish I had. I did see Michael. We did a few years back when they were started talking about doing Phoenix Rising, which is the possible revision of the show. We did a signing at a store here in Burbank, California, and I saw Michael and Larry both there and got to talk to him a bit, but didn't have a lot of contact with him. And at the time of the writing, we didn't have a lot of contact with him. But what they did is they wrote Bibles of the for the show, as I'm sure you're familiar, and your students, anybody who's writing or learning to write, there's a Bible. In other words, here's the the foundations of this show, And they had all that ready for us. They had that, that was sat down and they gave that to you, and you could go over that. Or even while you were filming, if there was, I'm confused, go back to the Bible and, where should I go? Okay, that may, but they let you develop the character. There was none of the do it like this. You got full reign of that character. So I got full authority to develop John Power as I saw it. Not that you weren't directed or anything. Of course, director would come over and say, let's try it like this, I think. And that's always great, because sometimes you're so close to something, you don't see it. You have to have somebody who steps away and they say, hey, try this. But that was, there was never a do it this way. It was, shall we try it a different way? Even when you're filming something and you're given that kind of creative license, you may work 18 hours, but when you get home, you're wide awake and you're just so energized. And we were doing something, that never been done before. So I've done other roles, but that's been done, or it was a set pattern. You were coming in and just doing it. I was creating this character. I mean, I was John Power, and to this day, I'm the only John Power, right? The other parts you play, other people, if you do a play, somebody's done that part maybe 100 times, other people, but nobody else has ever done this part. So that makes it different. You are in control, and they gave you that trust. The production teams, the producers, the directors, gave you the license to develop that character amongst yourselves, with you, and the cast was very close. We spent a lot of time off camera together also, which I think, when you're doing a camaraderie type of set, that really helps, because you have that camaraderie. So it all was kind of like the perfect storm. It all worked, and I thought worked really well. You look back now, of course, at the computer animation, and it's archaic, but at that time it was cutting edge, and to be involved in something that was never been done before, and was truly exciting and a real privilege.
I was a fan of the show as a kid. And I remember that I never saw anything that even resembled that. And me and my friends, my cousins, we all tuned into the Captain Power universe really fast. We used to play.
Is that right?
Captain Power.
See, those are the things that make me just makes me so happy to know that as I said, for me, I was in this set all day long, and smoke and dirt and hot costumes that you couldn't sit down in. Poor Sven, his costume, he couldn't even sit down. They built a big board where he could just kind of lean back.
A few weeks ago, I was giving a class on screenwriting, and I was passing through television in the 80s, and I approached Captain Power, and one of my students told me, yeah, I was always playing Captain Power, I was Tank. And
that's great.
The series was relatively short-lived, lasting 22 episodes, although it remains a cult classic and the landmark of 80s pop culture. In your opinion, you already told us many things about the show and that make the show unique. Is there any more elements that you think that are relevant to talk about regarding the Captain Power show, and why does it stay so relevant and remembered? Because there are many shows that enjoy success in their time, but are forgotten in a few years. And Captain Power seems to be one of those shows that remains in the memory. I remember when I started digging in the internet many years ago, I thought that I was the only person who remembered Captain Power. Well, I soon discovered I was not. There were lots of people that remembered Captain Power. So, what are the elements that you think that contributed to this cult following?
I like you. I mean, it's amazing. You know, there's TV series that'll run for 5 years, but they're not remembered. You know, they ran for 5 years, but they don't hold up into the future. There's other series. Cheers, a great example. You can sit down and watch Cheers today. It's just as funny as it was in 1986 because of the writing. You know, Captain Power was a show about hope. It was about hope. I think that is relative in our world today, very much so. At least I know for sure in our country, especially now at this time with the COVID disease running rampant and everyone's life being so affected, where we're stuck in our houses and we can't go and do things. Well, Captain Power, everybody was stuck in there. They couldn't do, you know, there was things out there that could harm them. Well, we're living in a time much like that. No, they're not robots or an evil lord or anything like that. No, that's our creative mind. But that could easily be a virus. That could easily be something. So I think as of today, that show is relevant as it was back in 1987. Why did it make that long run? Because of people like you and your friends and people who watch the show. I don't know the answer why, but somehow we touched something in many people, young people, that it's part of their life. It's part of their memories. It's something they keep with them. It doesn't just like a show I watched and I don't remember. Oh, I remember. Oh yeah, I remember that show. No, they go, oh no, I know that show. You know, maybe they haven't watched it in a while, but they can tell you all the characters. They can tell you this. I'm always amazed because I'll talk to fans and they'll say, in Retribution, and I'll go, well, which episode was that? They know more than I know. I don't, to me, they were just, I was busy just trying to learn one show, one after another, bang, 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 22 weeks in a row. You're just trying, and remember, we did all our own stunts. At that time, I did all my own stunts. So, you were constantly getting fireballs shot at you, or you were jumping through something, or which was fun. I mean, again, the reason I became an actor is because it was fun. I had much fun doing it, and I always did, no matter what the role was. But Captain Power was a story set in a time of the future that we all dread could possibly happen. I did use the word dread. See, it all fits. It fits on top. So why is it as popular? I think number one, because the people who are sci-fi aficionados, who love science fiction, see the uniqueness of what that show was at the time. They realize we were out there just film. We didn't know we didn't know how to do it because it had never been done before, but we figured it out. I think that part of it, but also I think the message of the show, which was life, again, human life is the most valuable thing in the world. And that was the story. And I think that it still goes today. And again, in times like we're going through now, I think that reinforces that statement and that look into a possible future that we all hope never happens, but certainly in this crazy world, you never know.
Power on.